Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking at a really practical way to approach depression, behavioral activation.
That's right.
We're using the article Behavioral Activation Explained as our guide. And, well, our mission is pretty straightforward. Understand how this works, focusing on, what you actually do.
Exactly. It's about using action, tangible action, to shift your mood, sometimes before you even consciously process the thoughts behind it.
Okay, let's get right into it then.
Yeah.
So what is behavioral activation exactly?
At its heart, it's a depression treatment focused on, well, getting you more involved in activities that feel meaningful or just enjoyable.
Okay.
The core idea is really to break that cycle of avoidance and inactivity that so often keeps depression stuck.
Avoidance and inactivity.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what's interesting is how directly it goes after that behavioral slump.
And this real focus on behavior?
Yeah.
Where did that originate?
It has its roots in behaviorism.
Yeah.
The psychological school of thought that really emphasizes that link between our actions and how we feel. So engaging in positive actions can kind of kickstart a positive feeling, creating a sort of upward spiral.
Okay, so if someone's feeling really low, they might, stop seeing friends, drop hobbies.
Mm-hmm.
How does behavioral activation address that withdrawal specifically?
Well, it helps you pinpoint those specific avoidance patterns. Maybe it is skipping calls with friends or putting off that project.
Mm-hmm.
And then the therapy strategically encourages like a gradual step-by-step re-engagement with those things.
Gradually.
Yeah. The thinking is, by changing what you do, even in small ways, your mood can start to lift naturally. Think about finally tackling a chore you've dreaded, that little sense of accomplishment.
Yeah, that feeling.
That's the kind of positive reinforcement it aims for.
That's interesting. So what are the key pieces of a plan like this? How does it actually work in practice?
There are several key parts. First, really getting clear on your core values. What actually gives your life meaning, deep down.
Values first.
Then you set specific, manageable activity goals that line up with those values. And a really crucial bit is problem solving.
Problem solving.
Yeah, figuring out what gets in the way of doing those activities and how to tackle those barriers. So if, say, connection is a value, a small goal might just be calling one friend for 10 minutes this week. Small steps.
Right. It's very concrete. Not just hoping to feel better, but actively planning. And the article mentioned activity scheduling and positive reinforcement. How do those fit in day to day?
Well, activity scheduling is literally planning specific activities into your week, like appointments.
Oh, okay.
It does two things. Disrupts that pattern of just not doing much, and it builds in more chances for positive experiences, for those good feelings to actually happen.
And the good feelings reinforce doing it again.
Exactly. That's the positive reinforcement loop. It makes you more likely to repeat those things that boost your mood.
So it really feels like doing your way to feeling better, which sounds, pretty different from therapies that focus mainly on changing your thoughts, right? Like cognitive restructuring.
That's a key difference, yeah. Cognitive restructuring is more about identifying and challenging negative thoughts, that sort of think-feel connection.
Uh-huh.
Behavioral activation works more on a do-feel principle. The idea is that changing your behavior can actually shift your thoughts and feelings, sometimes without even directly debating the thoughts themselves.
So action leads the way.
In a sense, yes. Action itself becomes the catalyst for change. It's quite powerful.
That's a really clear distinction. So who does this approach seem to work particularly well for?
Research suggests it's often really helpful for people experiencing a lot of anhedonia, that real loss of pleasure in things.
Right.
And also for those where avoidance is a major feature of their depression. It can also just be a good fit for people who prefer something more action-based, maybe less talk-focused.
And how do you know if it's actually working? How's progress tracked?
Usually through self-monitoring, keeping track of the activities you do, maybe rating your mood each day, noting enjoyment or accomplishment levels.
Simple tracking.
Yeah, but it gives really valuable feedback, shows what's making a difference, where you might need to adjust the plan.
Could someone use these ideas, these principles, maybe on their own, like self-guided?
The basic concepts definitely lend themselves to self-help. There are books and resources out there, identifying values, setting goals, scheduling. You can try that.
Right.
But it's really important to say, for moderate to severe depression, getting professional support is generally always the best course. Self-help has its limits.
Right. Makes sense. And like any therapy, I assume it has limitations or faces some criticism.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Some people feel it might seem a bit too simplistic, especially if they're dealing with really deep, complex emotional pain.
Like just doing stuff isn't enough.
Kind of. And that initial hurdle, just finding the motivation to start doing things when you feel awful, that can be really, really tough for some people. That's a big challenge.
Okay, so wrapping up, the main takeaway seems to be that behavioral activation is this very practical, hands-on approach.
Yes, action focus.
It's about breaking free from avoidance, boosting engagement with what matters in life,
Mm,
kind of trusting that the doing can actually lead to the feeling better.
that's it perfectly. It really highlights just how potent that link between our actions and our mood is.
Which leads us to a final thought for you listening. Even if depression isn't something you're dealing with, maybe reflect on how adding just small, intentional, positive actions into your routine could impact your general well-being.
Yeah, those little things.
Whether it's, picking up a hobby again or making that call, it's certainly something worth considering. Thanks for diving into this with us today.